Hey, good morning, everyone. I decided that I would do a video tonight, this morning, whatever we want to call it, because this is a relatively simple task. I'm basically going to get started on some mackerel sabayaki, which translates to mackerel, grilled mackerel in Japanese. Saba means mackerel in Japanese, if you hadn't deduced. Anyway, I got into mackerel when I lived in Croatia, and over there, a lot of the time, basically, most of the time, you'll grill the whole fish. Now, of course, you're going to remove the entrails, but they like to leave the head on. There's a lot of flavor in a fish head, and in the spine bone, in the center backbone. So, the meat is sweet when it's on the bone, shall we say. However, there are many cases where you might not want as much flavor, or you need a more delicate presentation, like, a fillet. Or, a fillet is going to be like that, and that's what we're going to do. Or steaks, where you just cut perpendicular to the backbone. So with mackerel sabayaki, part of it, a big part of it, probably the biggest part of it, is the crispy skin, and it gets a marinade. But first we have to fillet it, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to spare you the sight of entrails, but you might see some. So anyway, the tools that you're going to need to, oh goodness, what a mess the bottom of this pan has made. You need to wipe the cutting board. The tools that you will need are a knife that you are comfortable with using to fillet a fish. That's good enough. It's gonna, this doesn't have to be perfectly sanitary. This is gonna get soaked in salt water anyway. After I get the fillets. So the tools that you need are, I'm using a carving knife as a fillet knife, and this is I don't know how well you can see that. This is a Carriage House Mark 1 chrome molybdenum stainless steel blade. This is a little bit above mid-grade steel. It's not great, not terrible, as they say in Slavic countries. Um, these needle nose pliers can be helpful, but you know what? I'm going to get some more light in here too. There's not nearly enough light. There we go. I think that's better. So, needle nose pliers are helpful for getting pin bones out, but if your knife work is good, you can kind of get the pin bones out of the belly area with a cut. They're still handy to have because there might be a bone sticking out or in somewhere that you want to get rid of. With fish, there are occasionally little tiny details that require surgical precision, and so I like to use my Opinel. This is a French pocket knife. It's simply fantastic. I've got it sharpened to razor sharpness, like scary sharp, and you can really get into things with it. So it's very useful to have around. It's got a nice sharp tip, nice pointy tip, and all of that. All right, so let's get started with one of these. Give it a quick rinse. We'll try to go quickly because the more you dilly dally, the more chances that you have of getting hung up on a bone or something like that. You want a knife that is sharp enough to very quickly go through this instead of having to drag and rip through. All right, I'm just going to take that off. I'm going to take the head off real quick. Go behind the pectoral fin on the side and then cut diagonally down toward the spine or the head bone. The head bone. Do the same on the other side. All right. And now the head's gone. All right, so now you've got a headless mackerel. I'm going to start. First, I'm going to rinse my blade. With these, I like to come in from the tail end, and you go along the spine, and then I go towards the front, just because of the way the bones are pointing. And with this knife, it just works for me. Oh, this was the other knife that I like to use for cleaning fish, filleting fish. It is a little, I don't know, this might have been a cheese knife, but I really sharpened it up. I actually started to put a mirror finish on it just to practice doing mirror finishes on knives, and I didn't finish the finish. But it looks a lot better than when I got it, and it's a lot more useful than when I got it. So you could use a filleting knife, but we'll do one side with this knife and the other with the other knife. A lot of people, actually, before I start this cut, they will kind of say to go in at the top of the backbone and like on the side of it. I really think it's so much easier, even if you're filleting something as big as like a salmon, to just start at the tail until the knife hits the backbone, and then you've got a perfect guide. You might lose a little meat, but it's easier. So now you're going to see some entrails. There goes the first fillet. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. You might get hung up. There could be some like spot in here where you get hung up. Just give it a whack and you're done. So what do you do with this? I mean, there's good meat in there, and once you get rid of the entrails, the innards, you can season up the bone and you can grill this, and that's like a fantastic bar drinking partying snack. But I may do that. First, I'm going to clean up these fillets. Get rid of these guts. Where's my scraper? These are, I'm not sure if I mentioned, these are Norway mackerel from Norway, or thereabouts. And they weigh about a pound each. I get them at my international supermarket, J International, here in St. Louis, Missouri. Pardon me. Let's see if I can find. There's going to be a trail of bone in here. I think if you were preparing this in a restaurant or something, of course you're going to try to get rid of as many bones as you can, just because people are babies. But I'm not going to worry so much about these in the middle. But here's where you can. I will just show you. Here's where you can put the needle nose pliers to work. This is more trouble than it's worth, and really, it just a lot of times you'll end up destroying your fillet, which you don't want. So I also, there again, a little bit of bone is going to give you some flavor. So that looks pretty good on that side. No fins. There's a little bit of cartilage there that I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to use this guy. That has a very precise little knife. Now I'm going to go in. I think I will use the Opinel to get under these belly bones, just because it's so sharp. And I want to keep as much belly meat as possible because it's fatty, and that gives us flavor. Anyway, they're like $3 a pound. For seafood, that's pretty good. The reason they're so cheap is because it's an oily fish. It's strongly flavored, and not many people want them, especially in the Midwest, here in the United States anyway. So I believe they're also pretty plentiful. These are if you go to like a larger species like a king mackerel, which are like, they're closer to the size of a salmon. Those, I believe, they cost a little more per pound. I'm switching knives because that's not working out, and I want to get done. But the thing about those king mackerel and like those really large Spanish mackerel and whatnot, is that they are larger, which means that they have eaten a greater variety of fish, a greater variety of sizes of fish. Like, they can eat larger fish. The thing about larger fish is they are older. They have, in many cases, they're older. They have eaten a larger variety of sizes of fish, and so they have a greater chance of accumulating a lot of toxins from the ocean, such as mercury. So the king mackerel, the big, big, big ones, are like loaded with mercury. These little ones, not so much. I mean, there's going to be a little bit in anything, and probably some radioactivity too. Thanks, Fukushima. Speaking of Japan. Alright, these are pretty clean. Now, with Sabayaki, the Japanese grilled mackerel, and this is like a really favorite Japanese dish. Basically what you do is you get your fillet like that. You marinate it in something that's like teriyaki. I'm going to make a marinade out of soy sauce, ginger, garlic, and sugar, and a little bit of lemon juice. I don't have any cooking wine, so I can't remember the name of the cooking wine, so I'm not going to add that. But that's essentially like a teriyaki sauce. I may dissolve a little sugar in that to give it some sweetness, that teriyaki flavor. But like the acidity from the citrus, which will be lemon in this case, it'll make it give it like a ponzu aspect, which I've never even really used ponzu, I don't think. I may have used it in a salad dressing at one point or another, but yeah. So anyway, this is the state that you want to get your mackerel to. Once it's there, you are going to soak it in salted water. And what that's going to do, actually I have another one. And I'm going to shut my mouth, and I'm going to do the other one really quick, because I do not want to have to repeat these tasks just because there's a camera going and I'm trying to be expedient. So here's the other mackerel. I didn't even bother with the head that time. Apologies for the gore. Come on. So what soaking in salt water does is it's going to pull out a lot of the harsher flavors. It's going to pull out, it's going to draw blood out of the meat, and you're going to have a cleaner, more delicate flesh. You can also add baking soda to the soaking water. That will further kind of absorb odor, any off tastes or gaminess. And like I said, mackerel is a really, most people would consider it a pretty strongly flavored fish. I think it tastes like fish. I think it tastes like fish is supposed to taste. And so I love the strong flavor. It tastes like I'm getting a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, that is. Okay, here we go. 8 relatively equal fillets of Norway mackerel. Do you really need to see me make salt water and put it in a bowl? I don't think so. I'll show you the salt water in part 2 when I take it out of the bowl and we go to the next step, which is making a marinade. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.